Hello Flow Racers, welcome to the track guide of the Chinese circuit of Shanghai. The 5.451 km clockwise circuit is one of those relatively recent tracks introduced within the Formula 1 calendar in 2004, same as Bahrain, and kept a consistent presence until 2020, where the recent global pandemic forced the FIA to retract from putting Shanghai for the 2020, 2021 and 2022 season calendars. The Chinese track has 16 turns, 7 to the left and 9 to the right, with the best lap made by the legendary Michael Schumacher in the Scuderia Ferrari back in 2004 with a 1:32.238. The circuit's pleasing form when seen from the air. It is designed to look like the Chinese symbol for Shang, meaning upwards. It's equally pleasing to the drivers on terra firma. There's a unique start of the lap as the drivers fly into the ever-tightening turns 1 and 2 before they draft left through turns 3 and 4. The super high G-force, turns 7 and 8, are loved by the drivers, while the circuit also features one of the longest straights on the calendar, the 1.2 km stretch that separates turns 13 and 14. The real F1 showed us that a 1-2 stop strategy were the best calls, with all sorts of tires being available within the mentioned strategy, mainly mediums and hards being the most preferred of them all. Pretty much the same can be sold for the F1 2021 game, where racers could go for a 1-2 stop strategy call, varying across all streams of tires, be it softs, mediums and hards, depending on their preferred sets of tires, aggressiveness on the track and race situations. It may also be noted that the last winner on the Chinese soil was Lewis Hamilton on the Mercedes car. Alright, so we are now going to explain in a little bit more detail the hot lap of the Chinese Grand Prix. It's one of the hardest tracks to master, I must say, and it contains a lot of corners where the car loses a lot of traction easily, not just the curves but also the track itself. But at the same time, it's a very satisfying track if you get it right across all the corners of the circuit. So let's get on with it and try to explain this hot lap. So we're trying to take a best exit here. This is a very demanding turn, I must say, and if you touch the white part beyond the curb of the last turn, the 16th turn, you will automatically spin, so you would need to take the corner very cautiously. So I'm going to literally mount the whole curb here without invalidating the lap, but at the same time not touch the white part beyond that curb. So downshifting into gear 5, getting that early speed as early as possible without making the car spin, and taking the longest distance possible before I start the lap, so that I have the highest speed possible in order to gain a little bit more time. We have turned on the DRS and we have started the lap now, and we are approaching the first couple of turns of the Chinese Grand Prix. So we are still accelerating at this point, but as soon as we start to turn, we're going to downshift slowly into gear 7, 6, 5, but not so quickly. We're going to do it sequentially, and we're going to allow a little bit of time in order to downshift. Why is that? That is mainly because for those that drive with no traction, in my case I drive with only ABS assist and corner lines. So for those that do not use any ABS whatsoever, they can't press on the brakes. They basically need to lift off and they need to downshift accordingly without trying to brake in, because that would lock the car and they would lose a lot of steering throughout these first couple of corners. The first couple of corners are one of the most difficult when it comes to the no ABS drivers, for sure. So we're going to downshift sequentially until gear 5, accelerating a little bit, and then continue to downshift sequentially until we get into gear 2. I think I have kept it in gear 2 here. Beyond this turn, which is turn 2, we're going to short shift into gear 3 and we're going to accelerate until the next corner. Exactly at this point, we're going to downshift into gear 2 slight brake, and we try to kiss the curb, although we're going to be pushed off a little bit in terms of the steering, so the car understeers a little bit. It will enable us to have a little bit more of an early acceleration, and it would win us a lot of time. So I'm short shifting into gears 3 and 4. When exactly we short shift into gear 4, that's where we can accelerate until this point. At the 100-meter mark, we're going to downshift into gear 2. We're going to literally kiss the curb, the inside curb, and we're going to re-accelerate as fast as we can without making the car spin. We have kissed the curb, short shifted into gears 3 and 4, and beyond this point we're going to accelerate completely. Even here we're going to accelerate, although the car may be subject to lose a lot of traction. So one suggestion that I can make when it comes to this corner is that do not touch the curb, inside curb whatsoever, because that would be automatic spinning of the car. So try to keep a little bit outside. I could have been even closer to the curb, but it was a very good flow of the car right there without making it unstable, trying to take less form of a turn rather than attacking the corner completely. And I have kept it into gear 7 and full throttle until this point. And here we're going to brake at this point. We're going to literally attack the curb here, this turn, and we're going to downshift into gear 5 and keep the flow of the speed going. So we're going to downshift into gear 5, half throttling it without losing any steering, so the car doesn't understeer. Why is that? Because the subsequent corner would be a left-hander, and we need to be at the most right parts of the track as much as possible before entering the turn. So we're downshifting into gear 5, keeping the flow. And as you can see, we have kept into the most right part of the track before we're going to downshift into gear 3, literally attack the inside curb, keep the half throttling and not full throttling, because it would make the car spin. It's a very hard corner in terms of the curb. If you don't take it efficiently, you will automatically spin. It's a very vulnerable corner. So we're going to downshift into gears 3, kiss the curb. Beyond this point, we're going to half throttling it as long as we get the flow going and the car doesn't lose any traction whatsoever. Short shifting into gear 4. We're keeping again at the most right part of the track, because we're going to again attack the inside curb here as well. And of course we are still half throttling it, because if we go through the curb and to full throttle, the car will automatically spin. So that needs to be considered as well. You will need to literally kiss the curb, half throttling it. Beyond which point, after short shifting into gear 5 here, beyond this point, this is the point where you can start re-accelerating into the full extent, so full throttling beyond this point. Now we're going to arrive at the DRS direction at the 75-meter mark. More or less, we're going to brake in and downshift into gear 2, and we're going to kiss the curb in order to get us a little bit more rotation as we speak. So here we're in gear 2, we're kissing the curb, we're getting the rotation that we need, because the subsequent corner would be a right-hander, a big right-hander, and it will consist a lot of traction control. So of course, for those who do not use any traction control whatsoever, it will be very difficult to find that sweet spot where you pull it fully on the throttle, because the car will be very unstable. So here with gear 3, we have short shifted into gear 3, approach this corner, again kissing the curb so that we get a little bit of an extra rotation. Again short shifting into gear 4 here, still half throttling it. And beyond this point we're going to full throttle it by short shifting into gear 7, and we have this long straight, 1.2 kilometer long straight, turning on the DRS. without making the car spin whatsoever. And again, at the 100-meter mark here, we're going to downshift into gear 2 and literally attack the apex of that U-turn, the turn 14, which is a non-slippy part of the track, so we can literally cut off most of the curb without invalidating the lap. So downshifting into gears 2. Beyond this point, we're going to short shift into gears 3 and 4, full throttle beyond this point, and now we are arriving at the last corner. Yet again, we have explained it in the beginning, where this corner, you either kiss the curb or you literally mount the curb in a way that you mount the yellow part of the curb, because if you touch that, the car would spin. At the 50-meter mark, somewhere on those lines, we're going to downshift into gear 5, and we're going to kiss the curb and getting the most early throttling as soon as possible without making the car spin, which is a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to make it. So short shifting to gear 5, kissing the curb, mounting this part of the curb, turning on the DRS, short shifting into gear 7, full throttle beyond this point, which completes the lap. So that is basically it when it comes to the full track guide of the Chinese Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed this content as much as I did by doing this hot lap. Let me know if you have any questions, and in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best. Take care, and I'll see you on track. Ciao.